We appreciate your time. We know you've been protesting in Florida as well as Denver this past week. What was it that made you want to be such an active participant in what we've seen across the country?
Yeah, thank you. First, thank you guys for having me on the show. It's really an honor. And to answer your question, yeah, it just, there was something about, who knows, maybe just the buildup over, the years, and then educating, myself through the process of, everything that was going on. And it's sad because, unless you really go out and look for yourself, the history of Black Americans in our country, it's a long and dreadful and painful process for our African American, brothers and sisters. And so, after seeing what happened, obviously to George Floyd, I think, a lot of people think that it was that one incident. This has been a buildup, for 400 plus years. And, it seems like nothing is ever getting better. And I think the most frustrating part was there were peaceful protests before. We were trying to awake America's eyes to police brutality, racial inequalities that are happening still in this country, oppression, systematic racism. And so I think it was, for me, it was just apparent to with my current platform to make sure that, I was standing for what I believe in. And it's just sad that, this is still a reality in America.
And Justin, for a lot of this, it's been listening. And again, you've been in Florida, and then you went back to Denver and were part of the protests with your teammates and Vic Fangio. And speaking of listening, Vic Fangio had come out with a statement when this was all starting that he didn't believe there was the racial issues in the NFL. And listen, we on this show and others somewhat took him to task with that thought process. What did you have a chance to individually speak with him? I know your teammates did. How did that all work with Vic and him listening to you guys?
Yeah, we had a chance. Guys had a chance to listen to kind of his response in that regard. And, one of the things I think that we have to do a better job of is, obviously Vic came out and said what he said, very, very similar in regards to what, Drew Brees came out and said what he said. The thing that I think I can appreciate the most is, I guess the apology, but the want to listen after, realizing that, hey, they may not be exactly what I said. Let me go ahead, let me listen, and then let me learn, and then let me lead in that regard. And so, I think one of the things I appreciate was, Vic said what he said, and then obviously he came out with another statement. But bigger than that, I think for me as a player who knows him and some other guys on the team, he came back, he had a team meeting, and he said, I realize, my comments may have hurt some of you. So here, what I would love to hear, I would love to have some insight. I would love to hear why, I was wrong. And I thought that was a big step because I genuinely believe that a lot of people do want better change. It's just unfortunate because, you don't know what you don't know. If you've never been through it, then there's no possible way, unless you educate yourself, that you would understand at that level.
Talking to Broncos safety Justin Simmons with us here on Golic and Wingo. And so all of that conversation culminated in your guys' whole team being a part of going out and protesting in Denver, and certainly Vic there, but also seeing the support from John Elway even on the top end of this. How much does it mean now to see the whole organization sort of listening and buying in that regard as this goes forward?
Yeah, I mean, it's great to see. It's great to see, some support. And I think the biggest thing moving forward is it's awesome seeing, so many people come out and speak up and talk about the change that's needed and support behind it. And I think it's one thing to say it, and I think it'd be even powerful to back it up in whatever that looks like in terms of taking action. And so, like I saw the post that, Roger Goodell put out in response to the video that, some of the players around the league, put out in terms of, their stance and making a really powerful statement about how African Americans are treated in our country. And obviously, like I said, saw his response, and it was a great response, but I hope there's action to follow up with those types of responses. And, I hope that when push comes to shove, they really are behind their players in the league when they want to take certain stances and stand out. And like I said, in that regard.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.